Christ.
Oh no, he's an emo.
What? Lol, I look fab.
I think everyone knows by now, or at least people in the Creepypasta community. Lots of old Creepypastas, they just weren't as good as we thought during their heyday. But arguably the one that got most of the good publicity, but really didn't deserve it, was arguably Jeff the Killer. Yeah, I said it. Burn me. But recently, Jeff the Killer has come back on the internet's to-do list, I guess, of things that are recent now, with the search to find the original image's place of origin, which has been a roller coaster ride. At the time of writing this, I just watched a video by YouTuber 4NT. His thing is going to be up on the screen, called The Rise and Fall and Rise of Jeff the Killer, a retrospective. I loved the video. It went into a lot of ideas for Jeff the Killer I really hadn't heard of before from the copious amounts of other Jeff the Killer retrospectives I've watched. But at the end of the video, 4ent is, I'm just gonna go with that, 4ent. 4ent encouraged viewers to create a sort of reboot to the story to try and revive the character in a new way. So, gotta be honest, I was inspired. I've always felt the story had potential, but was just not executed well at all. The canon Jeff the Killer myth and lore just doesn't do it for me. The guy's the next face of Creepypasta next to Slender Man. I don't know, it feels wrong for him not to have a good, well-known, well-accepted interpretation. I mean, other than just the image is popular and people want to find the origin. There's gotta be more than that. There's gotta be more than that. So, Mr. 4ent, I'm taking your challenge. This is my attempt. After the story reading, I'm gonna discuss my ideas behind it and what I'm envisioning for it, for the future. But I guess I've talked enough, as sort of an intro. I'm gonna get into my version of Jeff the Killer, or as he's now gonna be known as Jeff the Smiling Man. This is the story of Jeff the Smiling Man, so the folks called him. Jeff lived with dear old parents and brother Jim. Since he was a boy, all he wanted was to make people smile. The rest of his family was so gloomy, so hostile. Dear old Mom and Dad always fighting, never willing to reconcile. But they loved Jeff and Jim so dear. "It's not you boys, it's us," they'd always hear. How could it be, Jeff thought. He knew he was to blame. Why else would his name be spoken each time their arguing came? Jeff loved people with all his heart. When someone cried, he placed his fingers in their mouth, pulled at their cheeks, turning their face into a happy work of art. Because of this, Jeff was isolated, mocked, and called cruel names. People were scared of poor Jeff, which made dear Mom and Dad subject to shame. One day, Jeff and dear brother Jim were on their way home from school when tragically they were pursued. 3 boys followed them and pinned Jeff to the ground, where he was pummeled profusely. Then came the liquid that was poured on his face, and no, it was not done minutely. Dear brother Jim just barely fought back, enough to cease their attack. So it was off to the hospital they went. The whole night there, Jeff he spent. His sweet, happy face was bruised and scarred by the beatings and this mystery liquid. As much as the doctors tried, Jeff's face would remain strange and twisted. On the night of his return home, Jeff examined himself in the bathroom. His face was now a sickly white and eyes burning and yellow. At first he was disgusted, but Jeff had hope, and that night he vowed forever to be the happiest fellow. From wire and rope he made the very thing that would keep him permanently light and gay. Around his ears he placed a strand with 2 hooks for a smile to stay. He wanted everyone to smile like him, for now he was perfect. I can't have rope and wire for everyone. So he chose something easier, something to slice and skim. This will have to do, he whispered as he made his way to his parents' bedroom. The next morning, Jim awoke to dear Mom and Dad unable to wake up, with the happiest of smiles lovingly carved into their faces. Their eyelids were also missing, so they could always see their perfect new changes. Jeff has been missing since then, but some have said late at night they've seen the happiest of men, skipping up and down the streets. His face of white and smile so wide, you could be happy too, if only you tried. Okay, so like I said before, taking some time to sort of analyze this and break down my ideas, in case there was any confusion. I'm gonna restate this later, but this is more of a pitch of ideas than oh hey, I'm reading a creepypasta, so why am I gonna reveal everything and explain the story at the very end? That makes sense. I kind of had some discrepancies with doing that when I first thought about it, but again, like I said, I wanted to treat this as more of the pitch of ideas. So, obviously, that was not the same Jeff as we know, and some of us love. But I really wanted to do something different with this, at least something not seen with Jeff before. A big elephant in the room is the layout. The decision didn't really have much thematic purpose, but obviously this story is a nursery rhyme, or my best attempt. I'm not claiming to be Dr. Seuss or anybody over here. I just wanted to take the story back to old short story pastas. When you didn't take like an hour to read a damn horror story. It's short, simple, to the point, and it's sweet. I also just thought it was a different way to tell the story, so I thought of it and I was like, if I'm gonna write this, I'll just go with this idea. We'll see how it goes down. Now, here's to the more critical ideas. To reference another retrospective on old Hefe is Fish Stick on a Sticks video, Jeff the Killer rant and review. Now, this was the first video to send me down the sort of rabbit hole of creepypasta reviews and lookbacks, and I love I love this video. I not only was it funny, and opened my eyes to how batshit retarded this story was to begin with, with all due respect. But it was extremely beneficial to improving my horror writing, at least I feel. So, I tried to work on the points addressed by Fish. I hope I did well. I hope I can impress. I think the biggest thing for me is the sheer stupidity of the characters and their actions. Now, as much as I loved 4N's thoughts and perspectives on Jeff the Killer, I loved the video. It gave me a new light to see the story and the character in. For this point, I have to side with Fish here. Sorry, 4N, I don't think these are well-written characters. I don't think the characters in the way they're written in either versions of the creepypasta are good. Jeff, I think, is undeveloped and is just a stereotypical emo teenager. Randy, Troy, and Keith, the bullies, are honest-to-God, laughably stereotypical bullies. And Jeff's parents are friggin' moronic simpletons that clearly don't care about their child. Rather than stretch the story out and give them depth, which would have worked fine, I'm sure, the nursery rhyme format just gives you a brief idea on who they are. It doesn't go into much depth, really. I mean, actually, the bullies, they're not even named in this version. They just come in, they do what they need to do, and they screw off. No, this version of Jeff the Killer, I wanted particularly just to be about Jeff. Not Jeff versus cartoon greaser bullies from the goddamn 50s. Now, on the subject of his parents, I try to establish they are part of Jeff's problem and his downward spiral. But they're not dicks to their children like they are in at the very least, I think it's 2011 version. It was both of the retellings, they're just assholes. This is so, like Fish Stick on a Stick mentioned in his video, their deaths are seen as unjust instead of in the original where a line like, "Honey, get the gun," to their son's sliced open face while he's clearly having a mental fucking breakdown seems like enough reason to say, yeah, no, you two ain't winning Parents of the Year awards any soon. That is just such a uncaring. Yeah, you're trying to self-defend yourself because obviously your son's about to kill you. But he's your son. Why is that the reaction you have? And they just totally disregard. It's. Go watch Fish Stick on a Stick's video. That's all I gotta say. Just go watch that video if you want to get a better idea if you don't know already. Now, I want to address Jeff's character. Because overall, he's definitely not the same character that he was in the original. I wanted to try and establish Jeff as a weird kid. I don't mean, you know what I mean when I say that. I don't mean a weird kid. I mean a weird kid. If you know what I mean. He was a kid obsessed with being happy and making everyone around him exactly the same. He fails to understand that being sad or frustrated is just okay sometimes, but he doesn't understand that this concept and tarnishes his relationships by, like established in the story, putting his fingers in the cheeks of people without consent, of course, and stretching them into smiles, getting too touchy-feely, or what have you. He's a weird kid. He doesn't pick up on those social cues, so for that he's isolated and bullied, but this is also sort of to establish maybe there's something not right in his head. And this whole thing with the smiles, instead of him just coming into your room late at night and saying, "Go to sleep," this is I feel like it's a better calling card for him, to carve smiles into people's faces, because, well, that's sort of supposed to be his whole thing, is he wants everybody to be happy. So that's the weird, twisted way his psyche is thinking, oh, this is how I can make everyone happy like me. Carve smiles into their face and then they never need to frown again. Especially because the thing that he tuned in on people's frustrations or sorrows is a little bit more facial. He recognizes it in the face. And this sort of segues into my overall themes and ideas intended for the story. I want this Jeff to be about the decreasing unhappiness in the world. I know that kind of sounds melodramatic and crazy, but hear me out. I think this Jeff needs to have, like Fish established in his video, a deeper meaning to the horror. an even bigger monster hidden under the physical monster. That's what the other Jeff is lacking. There's no meaning behind him. I think most of us are aware on how superficial and just depressing the world around us is getting. At the very least here in the States, you know, I mean, everything is going into technology. We don't make the attempts to see each other in person as much anymore. We're always on our phones. Everything's going to virtual. The world is becoming more hateful. We can't even agree what side of the political party we want in our country, because neither side wants to cooperate with the other. It's the world. I really believe the world is slowly, not even slowly, quickly getting more unhappy by each day. So I thought this would be an interesting topic to make Jeff this sort of metaphor proprietor of. So this Jeff should represent our spiral as humans into this colder, less social, more technology-reliant climate. If we fall too far, we may all end up like Jeff. Now, I'm not... Alright, time for me to be real here. I'm not claiming by any means my story is perfect. I legit wrote this damn thing in one night. In like an hour maybe, or more. I am positive it could use some rewrites, okay? I got a lot of other things I want to play right now. I'm trying to prioritize my time, okay? If it's not that good to somebody, give me a break, okay? I wrote this in a night. I was giving it my all, but this isn't like top on my priorities list right now. But, either way, with that being said, I was kind of intending this to be, well, like I said, just a display of ideas. So if it's not perfect right now, then it's first draft. I'm displaying my first draft. Maybe that's not the smartest decision, but I think it's fine enough for right now. That being said, I kind of see the story as more of a Slender Man situation. You know, some guy whips up a small, scary story that isn't really a big deal, but then the internet takes a hold of it and goes, wow, that's a situation that happened with Slender Man. Eric Knudsen created the two Slender Man photoshops and the little story brackets for him on the Something Awful forums, and then the internet took a hold of Slender Man and expanded his lore and mythos from there. I'm kind of hoping this can be a similar situation. So, similar to how I took this challenge from 4ent, I send this challenge out to anybody else. If anyone stumbles on this video and has more time on their hands than I do and wants to experiment with my Jeff, they like it, they think it's got something going for it, even if they think there's plenty to improve upon. Fucking hell, for all I care, go on ahead. Makes me happy. I don't mind. Run with it. I encourage you to take my version of Jeff the Killer and make this story sort of the equivalent of Marble Hornets. Or excuse me, make this story's equivalent to Marble Hornets. Or write a sequel, or whatever else you can come up with, etc., etc. All I request is that I could get a little bit of credit. I don't know if you want to put my name in there somewhere, just say like, hey, this story was originally, or this version of Jeff was originally made by Connor Carollo. Go with that. If it doesn't happen, that's fine. I'd prefer a little bit of credit. But I'm not gonna, I don't think I'm gonna freak out over it if it doesn't happen. What I'm more particular about is, please stick to the theme and underlying meanings I addressed earlier, because even if you think my story isn't that much of an improvement, I at least feel confident that my additions of the themes and underlying metaphors to Jeff is what'll make this version stand out from the original. Uh, to recap, Jeff is a mentally struggling character negatively affected by the depressing world around him. Honestly, it's got a lot of Joaquin Phoenix Joker vibes. Gonna be straight with you. So, if that gives anybody any better ideas for this version, then, there's a reference for you. Go with it. Take some inspiration from that. I wouldn't blame you. Otherwise, this was my ideas for a new Jeff the Killer. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope you enjoyed my commentary. Might as well go ahead, like, share, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want. I'm not gonna be making it big on YouTube anytime soon, so, do whatever you want. But really, if anyone likes the story and wants to do something with it, please, I encourage it. Encourage it. God, English. Otherwise, just, if you saw this, thank you so much. That means the world to me. Sweet dreams. Go to sleep. Okay, so update. I just saw that 9 hours ago, as far as me posting this update, horror YouTuber Pastra just posted, I rewrote Jeff the Killer. And I think I read the description. I didn't watch the video yet, but I think the description said he just totally, did a whole rewrite of the original story. And I saw that and I was like, damn, I really thought I was gonna get to that first, but no. But that's okay. I love Pastra. I'm sure his story is gonna be kick-ass. And honestly, there's so many rewritings and different versions of shit nowadays. It's probably not a big deal. So, his video is gonna get more attention. But I hope this one gets a little bit of attention. So I'm excited to go check it out. I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. I love Pastra's stuff, and he's a fan of the Scarecrow. So hey, he is a-okay on my terms. But yeah, if anyone happened to make that connection, I just wanted to post that update. So thank you. Screw you, Pastra. No, I'm kidding. I'm really excited. I swear.